Welcome, welcome, welcome. Those of you that are here joining us, I'm delighted that we're both delighted that you are here. And what we're going to do is we are going to be using the Q&A box. So if you notice that there's a little icon down below that says Q&A, then let's use that. And actually, you know what? I'm changing my mind. Haha, I'm changing my mind. Let's not use the Q&A. Let's use the chat.
The chat box?
Yeah, let's use the chat box. So that'll make it a little easier. I think that people are more familiar with using the chat than they are with using the Q&A. And so for those of you that have never used Zoom, so I just kind of want to give you a few pointers before we really get started. You know, when you open your chat down below, it'll say to all panelists, or it'll say to all panelists and attendees. Okay, so if you want your questions or your responses to be viewed by everybody else, you can put all panelists and attendees. If it's you just want me and Jean to be able to see those, then just put in with all panelists. So come on the chat and just introduce, come say hi, introduce yourselves, and tell us where you are joining us from, and we are going to be getting started. Jean, do you want to say anything as I am queuing off our little PowerPoint?
All these little things, exactly. Introduce yourself. I know you're so multi-talented and pulling everything together. No, I'm just happy to be here with you. It's been so much fun to collaborate with Dr. Elena. She's amazing, and we're gonna have some fun.
We totally are. It's gonna be amazing. So yeah, so I don't know if I love, but it is what I do. I don't know. I like to multitask. So I'm going to be sharing my screen here shortly, and so that you can see.
Hi, Steve. Hi, Neil.
Hi, our PowerPoint. Yes, it's awesome having you here. It's awesome, awesome, awesome. And I am going to start it. Yeah.
Hi, Norma. I didn't say hi to Norma. Hi, Norma.
Hi. It's so cool. It's just so cool. I love seeing people that that we know and love coming and joining us. Vancouver Island, Sacramento, Tacoma, Seattle, New York. Wow, so cool. So cool. I love it. So we, like Jean said, we are super excited to be here. It's been a really fun collaboration. I think that it's grown and has deepened even as we've kind of been doing this. And so it's just really exciting. And so this is truly an integration of, I'm going to say, both of our geniuses. Because, Jean has, she's amazing, and she has created all of these amazing things, and we're both collaborating. So you're getting the genius from both of us. So
it's true, and it's been fun.
Well, thanks, Steve. That's so sweet. So officially welcome to the Masterclass 3 Shifts that will transform hard work, indecision, and overwhelm into playful profits.
Do not disturb. Put it on. We are so glad you're here, and it's really thrilling to have you pop on live with us here, because we've got some really cool stuff to share with you. So a few tips, of course. We would love for you to just go ahead and turn off all your distractions, right? Shut off your phone, the do not disturb thing on. Put a little note down outside your door, say, I'm busy. Grab a pen and paper, and because you'll probably want to take some notes. You can use the chat function on the right-hand side there to ask questions. We will probably be answering questions at the end, but feel free to pop those in there whenever they pop into your head, and we'll keep track of them and make sure that we get to them by the time we get to the end of the webinar. And then at the end, if you hang out with us, we have something really cool for you, because we like giving presents. And then if you want to continue to play with us, of course, we do have a special offer for you as well. So we have both things. We have a special prize and we have a special offer. It's going to be fabulous. Oh, there's this fabulous gift. I went in the wrong order.
It's all good. It's all good. So we want to make sure like you're in the right place, right?
And does it?
Go ahead.
Oh, does this sound like you? Is this who you are? Are you tired of feeling tired, overworked, underpaid, underappreciated?
Or maybe you're stuck in the hustle and bustle of things and you're afraid to stop. Or maybe you're looking for the one system, the one tactic, the one thing that is going to actually break your dry spell.
Or maybe you're the kind of person who feels overwhelmed by all the things you have to juggle in your business and all the decisions that need to be made all the time.
Or maybe you feel like you've tried a ton of different techniques and tactics, but they somehow feel misaligned and they're not really working for you. I know that I've totally been in that place.
And maybe you're just feeling a little discouraged or even downright demoralized. Running a business can be hard, and it can take you in all kinds of places. And if you're in that place, I can understand that as well.
Totally. So wouldn't it be exciting to sort of stop spinning your wheels and to find a way to get real traction?
Or maybe having a life and business that's easy, smooth, and flowing.
Right. I totally agree. And maybe a business where you know what to do, you know how to do it, and that you make a fabulous living at it with tons and tons of free time to have fun. And I'm hearing and seeing kind of in the chat, I'm feeling tired of feeling invisible after time off, which I think that that's also totally it. So don't worry, if those are all things.
And it is not your fault. Yeah, it's not your fault. And you know, there's so many things that can make that happen. Tactical hell. This is when we're looking at little pieces of things, saying, wait, if I go do that, that will go fix my business. Or if I do that, or maybe that. And so you're all over the place trying to figure out what that one thing is.
And, you know, a lot of times it can make us feel a little disenchanted or distrustful, because I think that there's a lot of people that say, this is the one thing, this is the one and only thing that you will ever need. And you're like, oh my God, okay, I'm going to go do that. Right. And then you go do it. And then it's like, okay, like that was helpful. And that didn't really do what I really wanted it to do. And I'm feeling kind of distrustful because, you know, people say that this is the one thing, but then it's never really the one thing.
I so have been there.
So in some ways, it's our duty to be really checking in and figuring out, like, what is the thing that for us is going to make the most sense.
And, you know, is there one thing out there that's the be all end all, right? This is going to take care of everything, right? And align to it. I don't think so. And of course, that's going to just make you suspicious of anything that's popping up.
Totally. You know, so really, you know, we don't really believe that there's a one thing, the one formula that is like the be all end all thing. And, you know, what we will talk about will be one of the things that we believe is one of the most major things that works in combination with many of the techniques and strategies that you probably have learned, and that will help you actually change the world. And feel free, you know, I will periodically look at the chat, but if there's things that you are ahas that are coming up for you, feel free to pop them in there. And if there's questions, as they're coming in, we might not be able to answer them as we're going, but we can glance at them and then kind of make decisions as we go. So first of all, we want to kind of share what our goals and intentions are for this masterclass.
So we would love, we're going to help awaken and clarify how you can grow your business with more fun.
We want to highlight the 3 major shifts that are happening in the world and the new opportunities are actually being created for you.
And then we'll be teaching the 3 keys you need to implement in order to succeed in your business. And I know that sounds kind of guru-y, but these ones are really the things that align you with who you are inside.
And you might hear some of these things from us and ultimately know that Jean and I are kind of, mostly we are interested in teaching you how to be your own guru and how to create your own blueprint, your own formula, that kind of thing. So, so we'll be showing you basically what intuition and play can do to transform your business and your life.
And that the only way for you to exponentially grow your business in a sustainable manner is through integrating powerful, intuitive skills and play together.
So, I'm gonna like highlight what Jean just said because, you know, we're not somebody that's like, oh, we're making you wait until the end of the webinar to tell you what we're all about. I think if you're here, you probably know what we're all about. You know, we are going to be talking about deepening intuition and integrating play into our business. And so, but we want you to kind of see how we're conceptualizing all of these things. So, Jean.
I love this picture with Minnie.
It's beautiful.
It makes me laugh. So it just shows, you know,
your playful side, which is beautiful.
And I bought that fabulous hat. It was awesome. So I am an intuitive artist. An intuitive artist means that I don't plan anything that I paint. I just paint what shows up on the canvas. I'm an international speaker. I've spoken all over the world. Yeah, see, I'm good at speaking too. I'm a game developer and a play coach. I'm a spiritual guide, I'm a mom, and a dog lover. I have a sweet little dog named Razzle Dazzle. And I live in Austin, Texas. And, you know, oh, there's my little doggie. Razzle Dazzle. And so I want to tell you just a little story about play, because this is totally where I was. So it was actually quite a few years ago. And I was at a point, I had been in a corporate career where I was an accountant and doing numbers, which obviously from the things I'm doing now, that is very, very different. And I had a total breakdown around my whole life. It felt like it wasn't working. And I was play constipated. And even though I had little kids, there was a core missing for me of being a creator and that kind of thing. And so I took this class. It was called the Wisdom Class. And it was, and they asked in the class, they said there are 3 ways that most people connect to God. And they said one of them is through knowledge, people who love to, you know, collect more knowledge. One of them is through other people like to connect with others and have that happen. And the other is through creativity. And they considered even things like high math and high science as creative endeavors. And they said, now share with your partner and see exactly what, you know, you think you are. I'm like, well, gosh, I really like people. Maybe it's the people. And I really, you know, I love knowledge. I have lots of books. I read lots of books. And I'm like, and I'm kind of creative. I don't know. I honestly didn't know. I had no idea what that connection was for me of making things go. And so one afternoon I was sitting in my front room in front of these big windows playing with my son, and it was a cloudy day, and literally here's what happened. The clouds parted, a sunbeam came down through the window and illuminated this little table that I had designed, built, and painted. And I looked at it, I looked up, and I'm like, oh, I get it. I get it. That's what I'm designed for. That's what I'm supposed to be doing, and I'm totally not. So I enrolled in art school for furniture design, which is a whole nother story. But it's that whole opening of play that opened the rest of my life to be what I felt it needed to be and should be. So that's
beautiful. That's beautiful. Love it, love it. Love it, love it, love it, love it. I think that's just gorgeous. Um, so, so you probably all know me. I am a high performance psychologist, an intuitive prosperity business mentor. I am a um, spiritual mentor and healer. And it's so funny because I don't often talk a lot about that, but that's certainly something that comes through in pretty much everything that I do. And I have several multi-six-figure businesses. I am an international speaker, a best-selling author, and I'm also an aerial dancer. And this is important for me because I was a ballerina. Um, and that's how I started my career, was being a ballerina. And I think that this is part of the piece that really connects Jean and I, in that that we are kind of artists at the core, and this is how we see this. So, basically, I want to just tell you a little story, and this is kind of my awakening story moment, and some of you actually know it, but it was kind of interesting because I realized that this year it's been basically 6 years since I hello. So apparently my internet got funky, so here I'm going to share my screen again.
I was thinking it was me.
No, not you at all. It was me. So, and you can see how, like, stuff happens. So, it's all great. Stuff happens and we're just gonna go for it with the flow, right? So, basically 6 years ago, I had a major accident that left me disabled for about 3 years. And really was one of the darkest times in my life. I was threatened to have one of my legs amputated. And so I didn't know whether I was going to be able to keep my leg, let alone walk again. And of course I was told that to just forget dancing, like that was totally out of the question. And it was during this time that I actually had one of the most amazing transformations once I actually was willing to listen. Because, a lot of times I feel that I now know that stuff happens to really get our attention. I am a go person that doesn't seem to ever have a stop button. And so I felt like that was a huge wake up call for me to my frenzied life, to slow down, to look inward, and to actually realign with my highest soul purpose and mission, and what I'm here to do in this earth. And it's so funny because you had like your picture of like the clouds parted, and and I love that. And it was actually, for me, it was actually during one of the tests that they were needing to do, like a year after I broke my leg. Then I was diagnosed with compartment syndrome, and then they were going to have to do all the surgery. It was like really traumatic. And I went in to do this test, and the doctors were like freaking out. I could just tell, I could feel they were freaking out. And so I started freaking out, and they're like, we're going to get ready and be prepared, get prepared. And I was like, ugh. And I started praying, it's like the moment, I think that I was intuitive for sure. I don't know that I was very spiritual, but it's like when you feel like the rug's been pulled in under your from under your feet, and you're brought down to your knees. I was praying, help. And it was during that moment that literally I felt like the clouds parted. I had this beam of white light coming through me, and all of, feeling basically all of the support. And I just heard use your skills, you can do this. So it was this moment of transformation for me. I received a ton of different downloads during that time that I was really terrified to do, because many of them involved actually me becoming visible, me doing the stuff that I'm doing now. And I had some major visibility issues. And as I was trying to heal myself and kind of work through that, I realized that these things were tied together. So I could either choose to step into my mission and what I needed to do, and through that be able to heal my body, or I could choose, and then I had to become visible. I had to do all these things that felt super scary. Or I could choose to stay invisible and disabled. because when you are disabled, you really become invisible, and it's really quite, it's horrible. I don't think that it's the way they should be, but that's how it is. And so I was shown the contrast, and I was shown the contrast just like what we're experiencing right now. And we are seeing the contrast on the stuff. And so I realized, I needed to, in order to heal myself, I needed to step into my purpose. I needed to listen to my intuition. I needed to actually do the things that felt the scariest. And that the more that I started tuning inward, the more that I started adding more play and more rest and more balance into my life, because I was seeking to heal myself, the more my life opened up. The more opportunities I was able to create. I think my husband calls me a magical manifester, and I'll share a little bit more about that. But there's been many, many times when, literally, like, we've manifested like tons and tons of money in a short period of time, not even knowing how, because I simply believed and had this commitment and said, okay, this is what's happening. I don't know how, I don't know when, we're going to activate, kind of like what I shared in the thing. And it happens. But I realized that it does not happen through just doing and through strategy, which is kind of my go-to. It happened through connecting to my intuition and, play. So it's kind of a long story, but I wanted you guys to kind of know a little bit about us and kind of where we're coming from and why this matters so much. So you kind of heard a little bit about our driving motivation. Like, we're both such loving, heart-centered people. We believe that that each of you hold in your hands the possibility to actually change the world in a powerful way. And that most of those powers are actually greatly diffused and wasted when we spend too much time running around trying to figure it out on our own, second guessing ourselves, doubting ourselves, or working ourselves to death like I was doing. And so we know that it's possible to run a profitable business where you have so much ease, joy, and play in your life. And so that's kind of why we're here and why we're doing what we're doing.
So we're going to talk about a simple perspective on human nature. And we're going to be presenting archetypal patterns called angels, peacocks, and butterflies. And totally playful, right? And this actually came out of my art experience. And so when I was done with my furniture design in art school, I suddenly realized, wait, I don't live in North Carolina and I don't have a workshop. I probably can't make furniture, but I think I can paint. And so I started painting. I rented a studio, and I hunkered down and just started painting. And after my first 50 or so paintings, and because I paint intuitively, it's whatever shows up on the canvas. And I look back and I'm like, oh my gosh, why do I have all these angels, peacocks, and butterflies? What is that all about? And I sat down and did some automatic writing, and I'll talk about that in a second, because what we're going to discuss today is exactly that, these archetypes, and we're going to discuss them along with three major shifts that are happening in the world, and the three keys that will shift along with those to make that happen. And so the keys we're going to cover today are aligned with each one of those angels, peacocks, and butterflies.
Yeah, so you will see how, if you have not taken the test, by the way, and we forgot to put this on the PowerPoint, but if you have not taken the test and you want to take the test, I'll have Jean post that on the chat so that you guys can go and find out. Though you might actually just kind of don't go do it now.
Don't leave now. Don't leave now.
Go do it now. You probably will connect to these archetypes as you hear them. And thank you for the comments about knowing how firsthand and disability can produce that invisibility, for sure. So the three keys that we're actually going to cover with you today is actually how to shift from the hard work hard, into a state of flow. We're going to actually talk about how you can shift from the indecision and uncertainty to certainty and trust, and then how to shift from overwhelm into more productivity and more impact. Does that sound good? Does that sound good to you?
I know, I'm excited.
So I'm gonna let Jean take this because she developed this, and it was beautiful because actually, you might hear this and you might think that I did because I'm the psychologist, and so I want to give Jean credit, like so much credit, because she actually developed this. It's beautiful. It's her baby, and it's actually through our collaboration that we have actually been able to deepen that. And what we're going to be sharing with you today, it's just something that we both kind of co-created from that. So this is the first time that we're actually sharing this stuff, which is really, really exciting to us.
Yeah, it's very exciting to work with a clinical psychologist on something that I wasn't, I got downloaded, right? So what happened, of course, and like Elena said, we're complex beings, and our brain workings are fairly complex, and yet there are systems that allow us to really understand ourselves better. And so if you're the kind of person who likes all those little personality things, oh, you're gonna like this. Because they really catch that little point that has us understand ourselves a little bit deeper.
Totally.
And so the archetypes that we're going to be talking about are the angels, peacocks, and butterflies. And I mentioned already that I had this whole painting creative experience that had them show up. I sat down and did some automatic writing and said, well, what are these about? And what was great is it really pulled in this whole idea of my corporate background, which was about how we operate in the world, and this very creative how we get things done. Mm-hmm. Because that's what I really looked at, the difference between people who had thriving businesses are the ones who really could listen to the intuition, get stuff done, and then also enroll the universe to actually help them. So these are the three archetypes. The first one, I think we're showing angels first. Yep, I like angels because it's in the order. So angels, if I told you a little story about angels, angels would be the ones, if we had an idea and you say, I have an idea, this is what we're going to do. The angel would say, fabulous, that's an amazing idea. I'm going to go check my calendar. And then we're going to check and do some market research on this and see if it's the right alignment, and then see how it fits in the rest of my life. And when all of that is ready, I'm in. And of course, there's nothing good or bad about any of these. But if you recognize yourself as a more perhaps linear thinker, or simply thinks things through, a thinker. Yeah, this would be called the thinker if we were going to put it in a corporate term, right? Yeah. Thinkers. So those are our angels. And of course, we're going to talk about their shadow side in just a minute, but that's the basic of the first thing that happens for an angel.
And one of the things that was salient for me about what you said with angels is that they really want to do things well. They want to get it right. And so they often ask a lot of questions because they're really wanting to understand every facet of it before they take action. So they think, they want to understand, and I think that that's a really key piece, which it's really important.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. The next one are peacocks. So our peacocks, it's the same thing in the same scenario where we say, I have an idea. Sorry, I just saw that the link didn't work. I'll go fix it.
Yeah, I can put
okay. The peacocks, in that same scenario where we have an idea of a really cool project, the peacock says, let's go. That's amazing. Let's make it happen. And they get into work and they make things happen. Peacocks are the ones who are engines. They are generators. They make things happen. And we all need some peacocks in our life.
And one of the things that I really have recognized about this, peacocks are, so if we think about angels as being kind of thinkers, like mind stuff, peacocks are like body, like they're kind of like jump into action kind of beings, which, I really have come to really know and appreciate that.
Right. And so that in the mind, body, spirit, butterflies are the spirit. Butterflies are the kind of person, if you have an idea and you're like, that's amazing. let's call our friends. Let's see who we can pull into this and make it a whole big collaboration. They're going to most likely believe in magic and most likely believe that the universe is simply going to supply everything that happens. They have miracles often because that's how it works for them.
And I would wager that it's because they actually believe in them. You know, like, so the psychologist in me is like, whatever it is that we believe is what we create ultimately, right? So if you don't believe in miracles, you don't see them. They don't get created ever again, like ever, right? If you believe in them and you are looking for them everywhere, then you have them all over in your life. So here's the major shifts that that are happening in the world today, you know, and you know, I want you to really be thinking about, because you are probably noticing these now, and often when there are major shifts in the world today, what it does is that it creates sort of it's actually a disruption to the status quo. Right? So whenever there's major shifts happening, that their disruptions then cause sort of like the split. And then all of a sudden what we see is a huge contrast. All of a sudden, the stuff that we are shifting away from gets magnified, and the shift that we're making and that we're moving towards, it's also brought forth. And so a lot of times we tend to get confused by all the chaos and all of the stuff that gets to be kicked up, all the chaos, all the despair, which is a lot of what is happening in the world right now. Like, we don't have to go very far to see that that's really happening. And if you think about chaos and despair, it's also providing huge opportunities for transformation, huge opportunities for new leaders to emerge that are more conscious, more than ever before. Now, we need more leaders that understand this, that can help people through this major shifts. Yet there's a lot of the challenges, because there is also more fear that gets kicked up, more disappointment, more blame. And it's not just happening out there, but it's also happening in here, right? So I don't want to say like, oh, it's over there. No. It's like like we're all part of it. So you're going to be feeling it in your body. So some days you're going to be like, you know, over here, and some days you're going to be like, oh, fear stuff, it's happening. And this actually showed up for many of you during the challenge. So whether you believe it or not, you are a transformational leader. Your work transforms lives, and you have the potential to actually create a massive movement, a major transformation in the world.
And that's it. We didn't want to just talk about ideology. We really wanted to talk about what's happening, what's you know, what's real in the world, like what's happening, and how you can use then who you are to cause that.
I love. I'm just laughing a little bit about Neil saying, I think I'm a recovering peacock with angelic tendencies. That's totally me. So just, yeah, it's so funny. So, okay, so the first world shift, and you guys are probably going to be going like, oh yeah, I'm seeing this, okay? Because we're not the only ones that are seeing this information, right? But like, you will be like, oh yeah, the first world shift that's happening is that it's a shift from the masculine to the feminine, and a shift from competition to collaboration. And I put these as kind of part of the same, because they're part of the same energy. Okay, so in some ways, peacocks really use a lot of the masculine energy, right? Like masculine energy is all about doing and getting into action and making stuff happen. And a lot of times that can cause problems, because, you know, we don't really wait to listen and receive. We don't wait to collaborate, you know, and so that's really, really important. And so what happens for peacocks is that we get stuck in the hard work. So the first shift that we need to do is really shift from the hard work into a state of flow.
And so what does that create in your life? So things happen when you're in that. And so Elena, of course, is a peacock, if you haven't noticed her talking about it that way. So what happens, Elena? What happens?
So what happens? Where's my little pointer? we stress. Like stress takes a toll. We get into overwork. We get into overwhelm. You notice that probably the more that you get stressed, the more you work. You know, like peacocks, we are very good at like, we know how to like put the nose to the grindstone and make things happen. And it's like, it's fine. Like, I'll just work more, you know? And so that's kind of like our go-to is just work more. And work more is not usually the answer, right? Because work more, then all of a sudden is what creates a lot of anxiety and eventually burnout. And in the very, very like extreme, which I got there, was that burnout burns out your adrenals and then creates autoimmune disorders. And so, you know, I was diagnosed with 3 of them. And so that's, you know, it's bad, right? Because when you're in that energy, like you just get totally burnt out. We're very driven by achievement. We love to achieve. We feel good. We want to feel good enough. And so whether we like to admit this or not, most of us that are achievement driven, we are fueled by this inner belief that we are not good enough, that we need to keep achieving to prove our worth. And you know, this probably came from all kinds of reasons, but that's kind of where we're at. So the solution?
Intuition. Who'd have known, right?
And I know it sounds simple, but it's not that simple.
Right. And how is this better than just hard work, right? How is it better than doing that? How does it avoid overwhelm and burnout or achieving more in less time? Can that really happen through simply intuition?
So what I'll say is that when you are in the achievement mode and in the doing mode, you're not stopping to listen. You are not stopping to rest. You are not stopping to take care of you. You're not stopping to like listen to what is needed. And so we end up actually working a whole lot more than we need to, because we do a lot of things that are totally like not aligned, because we're just in work mode, and then we don't even get in to check in like, hey, is this really actually aligned with what I believe? Is this really actually aligned with what my clients need? Is this actually aligned with my mission? We just kind of jump into action. And you know, when you are able to start learning how to tune into intuition, we become a lot more efficient actually, because all of a sudden, when you have that desire to just jump in and do a lot of things, then you could be like, wait, is this I need to actually use some of the angel part, right? Like I need to tap into the angel part a little. I need to wait and pull back and listen and really kind of connect with whether that is.
Right. So, and ultimately, and Steve kind of mentioned it here in the chat, peacocks often will get injured when they don't. That is exactly what happens.
So, I mean, so my story is a great example, right? Because I was totally not listening. I was doing my thing and I was injured. For 3 years, I was disabled. For 3 years, I was in crutches. Like that was, so injury is really what happens to peacocks. So, so I'm just gonna kind of share a little bit more about this piece, just through my story, partly because, you know, I burnt out several times. I got injured. I got autoimmune conditions. Like that's like horrible, right? And there is a part of me, like some of you that might be hearing, that it's like, it can't be, right? Because we are so ingrained that it is only through hard work that we're gonna achieve success, that there's this like this piece that's very doubting, that's like, it can't be like that. The solution can't be that simple. Like we really need to try to borrow from the butterflies that are like, oh, miracles happen all the time. Like solutions can be really easy. You know, like peacocks are like, nah, I don't know about that. Like it just can't be that easy because it's hard work, right? And so it's really about doing major belief changes about how we get to do work. And the reality of it, you know, and I'll just share this little piece, is that when you get to align with intuition, really miraculous things happen, and I can tell you at least 2 things that I've done that probably other people thought were the craziest things for me to do. And one of them was kind of we were building like a $500,000 wellness center. And then in the middle of that build, my husband quit his job, and he said, how are we going to make it? Is that going to be okay? And I said, yeah, I don't know how, but it's going to be okay because your health is more important. And then I felt like I needed to join a mastermind that was $25,000. Okay. So we had just like nixed his income for like, I don't know, it was like 90,000 or something a year that we just totally lost. We lost our health insurance. We're putting out all this money, building this stuff. And then like, I'm like, we need to join this mastermind for $25,000. It's like insanity. Like, who does that? And I just knew, like, I listened to my intuition and I just knew. And I was like, we need to do it. And I don't know how, but we need to do it. And we did it. And it was probably the biggest, most transformational thing that I could have done. And it's amazing what happened when I actually said yes, even though I didn't have the money, I didn't have the time, I didn't know how it was going to happen. Everything just kind of worked itself out. Like the universe literally like rearranged itself to support me and to make all of these happen. And so I just kind of want to share just a little story of like miracles, of stuff that happens. And we've repeated that over and over, but I just kind of want you to see that a lot of times we think like, oh, we can only earn money through hard work. And yet like it was actually intuition that has created all these openings for me.
So you got achievement and fun.
Totally. And in the end, I think that I get to do more. I get to achieve more because it's more aligned and it feels better. And I'm having way more fun, honestly. So the second world shift is from being externally referenced to internally referenced. And this really, really applies to butterflies. And what we mean by externally referenced is like looking for the guru out there, looking for all of the information out there. Like the answer is somewhere out there. Somebody's going to tell me and give it to me, to like, I need to trust myself.
Right. And so when we shift from indecision to certainty and trust. And because butterflies are so concerned about what other people think, they're about those collaborations and about their relationships. They are so concerned about them that it's really difficult to trust a action that looks like it might put you out there in a deeper way. And so what that creates in your business, of course, is overwhelm and confusion, decreased productivity, and stalling, like putting it off, basically burying your head in the sand. And so I'm totally a butterfly. And so, yes, absolutely. I can absolutely relate to all of this. This is where my business started, is I had a great idea and then I couldn't do it. So the key strategy for this, because we're driven by impact, we really want to make an impact in the world. That solution becomes as trust. And it's trust in your intuition. It's trust that what you're being given is divinely and it's in your highest good. That really works out, so you can hear, trust, and then do. Because we must have that trust piece. Whereas peacocks, they don't need trust. They don't care. They just go do their thing, right? And so all those statements, just do it, make us butterflies crazy.
Well, I think that which is why for peacocks is like, we just need to listen, because if we just listen, we probably will just go do it. For I think butterflies, you are listening, but then you're doubting it. And then you're trying to ask everybody else before you actually take the actions that you need to take. So tell us a little bit more about how does that work?
Yeah, so it's in stopping and doubting yourself, like taking those incremental little steps because we waste our time asking everyone's opinions, and then we start and then we stop, and we really want that focus and fun, but we're moving back and forth and back and forth. And kind of like I shared in my first story, when I was an accountant all the time, what happens when you don't is butterflies get depressed. And see, I'll get all emotional talking about the story, because I lived this. Like, I totally lived this. And so the shift to impact and ease is a shift of trusting. Because if you know who this is, if you know a little bit about me, you know I invented a game called Angels, Peacocks, and Butterflies. Oh, what a surprise, right? And it's a physical, real game. And I actually invented the game a long time ago, 12 years ago. I invented the game 12 years ago. At about 5 years, I thought, okay, it's time. Like, it was calling me. I really got it was time to put it out there. And I was starting to put stuff up on the internet, you know, and listening to what people had to say and asking opinions and all those things. And I got some negative feedback that really just turned me around. I took it all down and I stopped, until I really got to actually getting within my own play, like getting to that spot of playing deeply and being me, and then fostered that trust to the point where I could actually produce it. And it's been nothing short of magic and miracles of what has happened through the releasing of that game into the world. Like, it has its own life. And like I said earlier, that butterflies believe in miracles and magic. Oh yeah, we do. Yet there's a piece of doing that the trust must be there. And when it happens, the whole world opens up. Totally. And it's an extraordinary experience. And so that honing that piece of trust was world changing for me.
Mm-hmm. And especially about the being able to really tune into, you know, for each of us, for me, it's like just recognizing what happens when we don't, right? Like, I'm like, I don't ever want to be injured again, you know, and like that's a good enough motivator for me. So the next world shift, and I guess we put this in a different order for it to appear, is from being perfectionistic and individualistic to holistic, right? So there's this major draw in the world that has been like, we need to have all our ducks in a row. We need to have it all figured out. We need to, you know, do this one thing really, really well. I think that this is a lot of like the concept of niching, and, you know, to actually being able to come to this world shift of being more holistic. And we kind of talked a little bit about this in some of our Q&As, about really being able to bring in all aspects of you into being for all of the world, being able to like bring, you know, the wholeness of who we are, imperfections and all, rather than worrying so much about being totally perfect.
Right. And so that key then is to shift from overwhelm, which, because in this perfectionistic place, there's always something else to do to make it perfect,
right, into
both productivity and impact. And so that's an extraordinary shift for angels particularly to step into.
Yeah. So what's the energy, like the perfectionistic energy, what does that create in our bodies? Like, how does that show up?
Well, that's getting stuck in the details, and that can get stuck in your body too, and working ineffectively and inefficiently. And basically all work, little return, anxiety and fear and disconnection from the body. And ultimately, if you want to, so if peacocks get injured and butterflies get depressed, angels get sick. Mm-hmm. And so that sometimes happens to angels, is they just get sick because of this resistance in action. And they resist all the things that actually even look like play.
Mm-hmm. So play is the hardest, it seems, for angels.
Mm-hmm.
because in some ways that there's this big disconnection, and so their motivation really is to master something, right? Like they want to become masterful, and of course the solution you heard is play.
Exactly. And so play provides a structure to the work, which to angels feels totally wrong. It increases productivity, it opens deeper clarity and validation, and it creates a safe place to be brave and take those alive actions.
So, and you know, we've had a lot of conversations through our challenge actually about I think angels and play, because we focus so much on play. And so if you were somebody that you struggled with some of the assignments through the challenge, then you might be an angel, right? Because you are like very much in your head. You want to do it. You want to do it right. And so then you get like almost like terrified by fear that you're going to mess up or do something wrong. And then that's what gets you into the inaction. And some of you, I just think it's awesome because, you know, many of you, and I'm just going to give like huge kudos to Norma, because like you talked about struggling and then you just kept taking action. Like, and that is like such an amazing thing, you know. I think Charlotte, I think also did that, like, you know, where you're like, oh, I'm struggling, but you were still doing it and doing it and doing it. And that's like so incredible, because I think that the more that you do, and in some ways the more that you play, right, the better we get. Like, remember, like play was the first thing that we ever did as kids. So we just need to go back to that. Right?
Absolutely, yeah. And so I'd love to share a story about a client of mine who is an angel. And she, you know, on her journey to mastery and clarity, she actually took up playing my game, and she played it for nearly a year. She was in my original beta. She was one of the very first people. She's a musician, very much angel, you know, in her head, needed to get her website right, needed to get all those things aligned and everything else. And through the action of daily activities of simply step by step doing the thing that showed up intuitively for her, which often showed up like things like make music, not just practice, you know, because that's, as an angel musician, it was like, you better get ready for this event, or you know, but like, how do you just play in your music, or walking in nature, or things like that would show up for her. And in the past, she would just let those things go. Mm-hmm. But what she started to do is simply incrementally, in a teeny little way, start taking those steps. She actually called me just a month ago and said, oh my gosh, I am going to be debt-free in the next 15 months. And that was, she said it was two things. One, she did kind of start to cut her expenses, but she said, I needed to make a lot more money. And she did. Like, she started to do those little things that didn't look like they were going to cause her business to grow, but everything started to line up, and then the miracles and magic started to happen. And she was just so excited that that little piece of play each day had her get to that point, which is just exciting to see that happen.
I think that's awesome. And, you know, and I hope that you guys are resonating with what we are sharing here, because we, you know, like made a commitment. Sorry, my cat's making all this noise on the side. But we made a commitment to, you know, share as much as we could during the time that we had with you. And, you know, we kind of would love to, you know, kind of give you like a quick, so here's a quick summary, right? Like, we want you to know yourself. And that's part of the reason why we talked about the archetypes, because the more that you know yourself, then the better you'll be able to, you know, respond to the world and do what you need to do.
And moving from the masculine then to the feminine, which is that hard work to intuition.
We're going to move from externally referenced to internally referenced, and moving from that indecision to trust.
And then lastly, from perfectionistic to holistic, which is from overwhelm to play.
So, so take note, this is like the summary slide, right? And I would love to hear like how this is resonating for you. You know, we'd love to hear whether, you know, just hearing this and knowing this, Like, can you like now take this and like, do you think this worked for you? Like, do you know, like, do you think like, okay, I now have the keys, I know what I need to do, and you can go do it.
Beautiful. So we did share a ton about this, as much as we could in the time we had. And of course, you know the old thing, this is the tip of the iceberg. There is a lot more on actually shifting who you are to, and in practice, right? It takes a little bit of support to make that happen. And so we've crafted some things to help give you that support and give you the whole iceberg, right?
Totally, totally. And I'm just kind of hearing a little, getting one of the questions, which I love, about perfectionism and holism seem to be two ends of a spectrum. Part of the perfectionism is like focusing on the details, and really focusing on like making everything so perfect. It's very, very detailed oriented. And so it's really about broadening that perspective, like taking the whole thing, taking you as a whole person, both with strengths and weaknesses, and being that it's totally okay for you to share all of those things, being able to move forward, knowing that, you may not have all the details, and you may not know all the answers, and you may not have it perfect, and that's okay. And that's kind of what where we're coming from. So for most people, and I'm going to say most of us will have problems in implementation. Of all the archetypes, I would say peacocks are probably the most likely to be able to like listen at something and be like, oh, I got it, I'm going to go do it. And even being a peacock, I will tell you that there's problems in implementation and execution, because even if you heard something and you got really inspired and you're like, okay, I'm going to be doing the stuff, then all of our core negative beliefs and upbringings will stop us in our tracks, because like all this chatter will come up about like, oh, but I don't know, da, 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 da. And for different, like I can tell you about peacocks, like they'll just get distracted by something else, and then they'll just go do something else. So most of us really struggle to implement things on our own. So I hope that you're kind of understanding a little bit about why you may have been failing, or why all the struggles are like totally not your fault. It's like you just didn't really know all the pieces. You didn't really understand how it goes. And if you haven't had support all the way through, then that's probably why. When I talked about this major thing for me that opened up when I joined the mastermind, it was about recognizing that it was like a really stressful time in our lives, and we were doing all these things, and I didn't really have any other support, and that what I needed more than anything else, if I was going to really step up in this big way that I felt like I needed to have all of the support around me. So obviously, we've been taught this outdated system. Our world's changing at massive speed, and we're not able to totally rely on our mind, because our mind is way slower than our intuition. And we totally need to upgrade our system to accommodate the new up-leveling that really needs to happen in our bodies, in our minds, in our spirits, in our businesses. So it's totally infused all the way through.
Okay, so I totally want to talk about that, because what you just said is our mind is way slower than our intuition. That is really an extraordinary statement. And coming from a brain scientist, I want to know more about that.
Well, so I guess I'll just share this little tiny story, and this is kind of cool because Norma and I were in another class, and this is probably the most salient example for me of the contrast of the speed at which we will learn about what we will learn intuitively versus with our minds. And so we were taking an animal communication course, and we were basically like doing this communication. And for me, like I got basically this thing about this negative vortex, and I was like, I totally believe in intuition, and I'm not about like angels and fairies and like, positive vortex. Like that was not in my field of understanding or any of that kind of stuff, and so all of a sudden I'm seeing this stuff, I'm feeling this stuff, and so I'm saying like, okay, well, this is what like my mind must be, and our teacher's like, no, like that's actually what's happening. And I'm like, okay, so my mind's kind of like going like, what, huh? And there's like, yeah, there's this negative vortex and we need to close it, and and as we're doing it, all of a sudden, like I feel literally like I'm being shown where there's all of these other ones in our place, and we need to go close it. And so like in a matter of like, I don't know, minutes, like my mind learned, like my body, actually my being learned about like these things, what they are, how they work, how to close them, blah, 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 right? Which was like so like, it was like a little trippy for my mind, And so of course afterwards I was like on my computer Googling like, okay, what is this? And then I spent like the next, I don't know how many hours reading about this, trying to get my mind to catch up with the experience that I just had, and of course my mind wants to validate those things. And so then I had to go and read, but it was for me like, and I know this might sound a little woo-woo for some of you, but it's like, for me, it was like the most blatant example of like, wow, when we learn intuitively, like it's like time doesn't exist. Like it just, all of a sudden you just know, and it's there, and the information is there, and when you can tap into it, it's like amazing. And your mind takes time to absorb little bits of information and process and take them in and create a container in your mind, and try to tie it to the other concepts that we have, so that we can relate it to something. And like there's all this stuff that we need to do with our heads to be able to understand something from that place. So when we're making decisions from our mind, it's like, no, 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 no. I don't know how else. So I don't know if that helps.
That's amazing, and I think that's definitely worth talking about, because things happen fast then, right?
Totally.
There's no time frame in that.
Totally. So so it's just an example of like when we, and the thing is, we're all intuitive, right? And when we don't have those skills developed, it sort of comes and goes. Like it's like a little here and not, and a little there and not, because it's not just, so it is something that we all have, but it is like a muscle. So, it's like all the muscles that we have, yeah, we have them, but if you don't go to the gym and you exercise them every day, then they're not going to get strong, right? And if you've never been to a gym, you probably need to hire a trainer, or you need to go take a class, or you need to have somebody sort of guide you to figure out like, how do you access the strength in your muscles? How do you, do this thing in a safe way? Like, how do you, right? So it's kind of the same way with intuition and play, I think.
Absolutely. And of course, it's the same thing. We need a ton of support to learn, implement, and lead through that. Yeah. So is it okay if we share a pathway on how you can accomplish this?
Because, we know that you can totally make the impossible possible. I mean, that's part of why we leave. So you hear that you're hearing us talking about magic and miracles, and this is really like the integration of both of us in a beautiful way. I often talk about magic, and Jean talks about miracles, and we realize like, oh, this is great, because this is really about, both things are important.
So if you are thinking, I've had enough of working my tail off without seeing the results, or maybe you'd rather co-create a life with magic and miracles, there is a way. And
so, and I hope that you want to hear about it, so if you're ready to hear about it, let us know, so that we can share with you a little bit about what we have created, which we're so super, super excited about. So, and I know that some of you are just writing to us, and some of you are writing to all of you, but yeah, eager to hear about magic and miracles. I love that. 1111. So love that. So what we have created is this awesome course that's called Intuitive Advantage, Intuition and Play for Business Success. And it is really a unique class that is just designed for you, that is going to teach you how to ignite your intuition and how to bring play and flow so that you can create more success in your business.
It's the only solution that is designed for you to be able to implement and incorporate these world shifts, key strategies, and raise up to become a transformational leader that the world needs. We've designed it to do that.
Totally. And, you know, and it's really so exciting for us because it is, again, it's a co-creation, right? So we decided we're going to do this, and we're co-creating all the way through and through. So those of you that choose to join us in this journey, you also will get to, in some ways, co-create with us, because even though we have a blueprint of how this is going to go, we are going to be tapping into what it is that you want to learn more, what it is that you feel like it's important and needed for you to. So that's what's going to make it really, really exciting. So what does it include? So it's a 6-week masterclass that obviously will guide you through the intuition advantage map that we've created. That it's really about teaching you how you can become your own guru, how you can like create your own blueprints, your own maps, your own processes.
And then 6 weeks of weekly live support and group coaching. And so that's a really exciting way to get deeply and authentically into the materials and help you to really own them.
And the cool thing about it is that we're going to end up giving you like 8 weeks of about, you know, maybe 7 or 8 weeks of actual support because of all the cool things that we have planned. But we designed it for 6 weeks initially. Obviously, we'll have a private community where you can connect with others and be supported of the changes that you're making.
And then weekly affirmations, guided meditations, and EFT or tapping. If you've never done that, that's a emotional freedom technique.
And we will give you either creativity, games, and play activities for you to deepen your skills. And, you know, and these will be basically, you'll have the weekly affirmation, and then we'll do either a guided meditation or a tapping so that you can keep practicing. Again, this is kind of like the gym, you know, so I often talk about it in that same way. You know, it's not that thing like, I'm going to do this once, and, you know, it's kind of like thinking that you're going to go to the gym once and then you're going to like, you know, totally like be a rock star. So
right. And so unlike a challenge, so we just finished a 5-day challenge, right? Which was challenging. Yes. This is not a challenge. We don't expect you to feel, although there might be challenging moments, we expect you to feel supported and really be able to implement as opposed to feel challenged.
Totally. So, and I'm glad that you said that, because, you know, I think that you and I had to, I mean, it was a challenge for all of us, you know, trying to figure out like what was going to be exciting enough, what's going to be a stretch, you know, and how it's going to be challenged. And in some ways it was the challenges and making it happen from one day to the next, right? But this is really about a lot of support, you know, a lot of resources, a lot of support in guiding you through. So the course content includes 6 different modules. And the first one is basically awareness, learning how intuition can serve your business and your life. And also like where are you at now? You know, like, because for some of us, it's like, oh, like I'm tapping into my intuition regularly, or I'm tapping into my intuition sometimes, or like I'm kind of disconnected, or here's how I connect to my intuition, but not this other ways, you know? So it's really about kind of taking inventory of like where we're at and how it works.
And the next course part is wisdom, which is emptying the trash of your belief system so you can tap into that wisdom of your hearts, and that your hearts and bodies communicate. And so this is a really cool, deep, brain science-y, make it all work together. It's a very powerful exercise that really shifts this.
Well, and I want to say that, you know, when we first created this, and as we go through the modules, you'll see what I mean by this, you know, I felt like I was feeling a little self-conscious actually about feeling like there was too much mindset type work, like mindset deep work about like letting go of negative beliefs and working through our core negative beliefs and all of that kind of stuff. And actually through doing the challenge and hearing some of the feedback, it was for me at least a little bit of validation of realizing like we actually really need this, because so much like what is getting in the way for us to either listening or trusting our intuition is all of that garbage that we are carrying in our minds about what we can do or not do, and all of that kind of stuff. So it's so it was kind of validating for me to be like, this is super important and we really need it.
Next one is activation, is learning how to quickly hear and validate your intuitive guidance so you can be certain of your next steps and how to make them go.
I was just looking at the chat and looking at Donovan, anti-intuition muscles are overdeveloped, that it takes intention to break out of the rut. Totally. So then the next piece is actually the rewiring piece, which is, again, we're going to be doing a lot of work. And the cool thing is that you're going to rewire your belief systems to actually change the outcomes. And the greatest thing about this is that you're actually going to be learning not just one, you're going to be learning several techniques and strategies that both Jean and I have used, that you can come to back you can come back to time and time again, to keep working through stuff. Like if we don't get through all of your belief systems, then you'll at least have all of that to be able to be like, okay, well, now I know the process. Now I know what I need to do to come back and work through some of this stuff. And then to be able to then open to play and fun, so that's part of your work.
And then energizing, we're going to open up the power source behind your intuition and play in your body so that you have the energy to get things done, take vacations, spend more time with loved ones. Like all of that is such an important part of this, because if you had just intuition and great business without the energy to do all of it, then it wouldn't work.
Totally. And I through another course, I kind of have talked a lot about like the 4 main sources of energy, which is spiritual, emotional, physical, and mental. And so we will kind of talk about that, and we're going to integrate that in how you power up, how do you energize through each one of those pieces. And so then the last one is our favorite one, which is really like opening to magical manifesting and creating miracles. And this is really how you begin to harness the power of asking great questions, being able to receive the answer, and then taking actions to do the inspired tasks that your intuition is guiding you to do, and then allowing for magic and miracles to happen. And I want to tell you that an example of that is really like you guys are witnessing that happening in the moment with Jean and I, because honestly, it was sort of an intuitive thing. Like I knew I needed to teach this, and I felt like, and I've known this for a long time, but I kind of felt like there was a part missing. And I was like, there's something missing, and I don't know what it is, and I need to tap into that. And it was like, reach out to Jean. And so it was like me totally listening to my intuition and taking action, and then connecting with Jean. And it's been like, so this whole thing we're teaching you, and it's been an intuitive process. So it's like we are walking the talk of the stuff that we're going to be teaching you.
Absolutely. And so actually on that one more time, I just want to answer Neil's question, because Neil
Sure.
asked, I trust my intuition and I believe in miracles. Why am I not getting through my 24-item to-do list? Which is pretty awesome, because, okay, I'm going to suspect, Neil, that you are a butterfly because you started with the miracles and trust. And I would have totally identified exactly what you said. And so if you're not a butterfly, you'll have to tell me. But
he said he was a recovering peacock with angelic tendencies, which I thought that was really cool.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so I want to talk to you more, Neil, about that, because here's the deal. Number one, there's a deeper level of trust. There is a deeper level of trust. So that could be one place to look. The other piece is looking actually at your intuition and how you're receiving it. There might be a deeper and better way to receive it that's more reliable. Because if your to-do list is coming out of that, I'm going to suspect, because you're a recovering peacock, if you said that's what you are, your to-do list is coming out of your head.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not necessarily, these things are not actually necessarily for you to do.
And, you know, my intuitive head was, and actually Bonnie kind of answered to that. He's like, 24 items is a large to-do list, you know, and honestly, this is where peacocks, we get into trouble because we want to do so many things. We want to fit in so much into so little time. And so to support exactly what Jean was saying is that it's looking at that list and then actually intuitively asking, like, what is the most aligned thing for me to do now? What is the one thing that I need to be focused on right now? What are the 2 or 3 things that I need to be focused on? Even though I have this 25 item, like, what are the 3 things that I need to do today? And really tuning into that, because, you know, 24 is a lot.
The ultimate act of trust is to throw away the list.
Totally.
And then simply ask intuitively, what's on my list today?
Totally.
I want to talk to you more, Neil.
You know, and Neil's a great example. I think many of the people doing our challenge, I think it's awesome for me. It's kind of cool because they're incredibly bright people, you know. And so somebody said, like, I would think of myself as an intellectual, you know, like incredibly bright people. And I think that sometimes what we fall into is what I call like the curse of the smart, which is, you know, like we can create all kinds of loops in our head because we're that smart, and then we overcomplicated stuff. Like, we are the masters at creating a negative belief, and then a looped underneath negative belief that supports that belief, so that there's no way that belief can be changed. And so then all of a sudden it's like, you know, like we get kind of locked into that, like it can only happen this way. And so it's really about recognizing sometimes, like, how you know, there's this quote, and I know that I'm going to butcher it, by Steve Jobs, that says, we have made the servants our masters and our masters the servants, you know. And so he talks about, like, the master is the heart and the intuition, and, you know, and we have made, and the mind is actually a servant to the heart and intuition, but we have made our mind our masters. And so we need to kind of reverse that. So
I think that was Einstein.
Oh, Einstein. There we go. So there we go. Yes, you're right. Thank you. So how will this help you if you don't already know?
So we're going to master intuition and play to open up you to the next level of business success. So where you're at now with the level of intuition and play that you have is fabulous. And we're going to help you open to the deeper awareness of what is possible.
We're going to reprogram your belief system so that you can break through any kind of income stops, plateaus, or any other, like, visibility blocks, or any other thing that is actually, like, stopping you from you, like, really expanding into you being your best self.
Open up your intuitive abilities so you can hear and trust your intuition and take decisive action.
Rewire your brain so that you have sustained success.
Teach you to energize your body and mind for stamina and longevity.
Start you on the path of magical manifesting abilities so that you can really create whatever you desire.
Fun, play, creativity, community. Yes.
Yeah. And really becoming really the magnetic being that you are meant here to be, you know, to clients, to partners, and knowing what is the right action that you need to take. So,
so this is not for you. Of course, if you'd rather keep the payoffs and protections of your ego and to keep you exactly where you are.
If you're actually simply looking for a good excuse of why not to step into your greater purpose, you know, I think that this happens for a lot of us. You know, it's like, well, I can do it. I can't do it right now because, like, I can't you know, like, so we feel comfortable in having a good excuse for not doing something. And if we're really tied to that and very committed to that, it's really hard to kind of create the changes.
And of course, if you're unwilling to look inside to work on those limiting beliefs and transform the way you see yourself in the world, it wouldn't be for you either.
Right. It's so funny. You know, I look at this question of like, how do you get your heart to be the master and out of your head? Enroll in the course. That's the easiest way.
That is actually the core of what this is about. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So this is totally for you, is if you are very cerebral and intellectual and you're somewhat disconnected from your body or soul's guidance.
It's for you if you know there's a deeper purpose and connection with your soul's guidance that you want to activate.
And this is, which means that you might actually be very intuitive and very connected, but it's not like super consistent.
Or you don't trust it. There's a trust issue.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Which I would have considered myself very intuitive, but I didn't trust it. So
correct. So either way, right? So you could be really intuitive, and it's kind of sporadic. So it's kind of like on and off, and it's not. Or you're hearing it and then you don't trust it. That's actually probably the most frustrating thing, Jean, because then it's just kind of like playing the woulda, coulda, shoulda game. You know, like you hear it and then you don't do it, and you're like, should have done that. Okay, like, and the next time, I don't know.
Yeah. So, and also that if you've tried a bunch of different strategies and tactics that have not yet yielded the result you want. And on that same line, if you want to know before you start those strategies and tactics, which ones are right for you.
Oh my gosh, totally. It's so funny because I have so many clients that come to me after, like, I spent all this money and I worked with so-and-so and I got the system and it's not working. Okay, we need to work together, because the problem is not in the strategies or the tactics. And I really want to say this is that it's not that we don't believe in strategy and tactics. Like I'm totally a huge strategist, and I believe that it's about being able to connect to know what is going to be the right strategy for you to take, the most aligned strategy that's going to create.
Right, and for us butterflies in the world who then want to make sure it feels right too. It's not just something that, and that, I got an intuitive hit, but we got to feel good about it too.
Right. And then, of course, if you're ready to embark in these world shifts and apply these keys and become a transformational leader and a visionary that can have massive impact, income, and fun along the way, right? So that would be for you. So what will you get? So you'll get what we talked about. You'll get the modules, you'll get the coaching calls, access to the private community, the meditations and activations, and then the weekly affirmations, and then all of the worksheets, all of that.
And play prompts.
And and the play prompts are also included as part of that. So the total value of what we have created is $997, and this is really what our course is going to be selling for. And we are actually going to be offering it for a little bit different price point to you today. So yes, if you're actually ready to join us in the adventure and you actually want to check it out and be, you can go to intuitivebusinessmastery.com/intuition, and you can totally join us, which we would love, 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 love.
Yes. And if you want to make it, we're going to make it a little easier on you too. You knew that was coming, didn't you? And we're going to make it easier because we have some awesome bonuses for you. I have a really cool course that goes in alignment with this called the Soul Advisor Guidance System. And I'm going to include this whole course with the Intuition Advantage. And what you get in the Soul Advisor Guidance System is you're going to get a deep meditation that allows you to relax to a level where you're going to meet your soul advisors. We actually create a round table of support. We validate your soul's guidance in a very cool scientific experiment. You'll get out of doubt, fear, and insecurity about your choices. And we actually have you meet the guides that challenge you, and they actually help you get out of resistance. And so it's a 6-module self-study program. It's included with this one. I suggest you don't do them at the same time, but you will get access to those right away, which I'm really excited about. It is an awesome course.
Well, the cool thing about this is like, as we were creating this course, you know, I told Jean, you know, I said, I really want to teach people how to connect to their intuition, how to use all of their intuitive senses and the way that they receive information for them to make decisions. And she's like, oh my gosh, that's so exciting. And I said, and I don't want to I don't want to do the, like, I'm not going to want to talk about angels or fairies or spirit guides or animal guides or any of that kind of stuff. Like, and it's not that I don't believe in them, but I just really wanted, because, you know, I know when I first started in this journey, I was very, you know, very brainy and very sciencey and you know, and I was like, yeah, don't talk to me about that stuff. But like, I really wanted to know how I could get to be more confident. How could I trust myself better? You know, and so I think that this is a really great sort of next step, right? So after you develop that, and if you're like, yeah, I know, and I know that there are sort of guides and like all of these soul advisors that I could tap into, and how do I tap into them, and then I think that this would be like a fabulous next step. You know?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I'm excited for you to have that.
Yeah, yeah.
Elena has this, when Elena offered this next bonus, I was so excited. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's amazing.
So I decided that this would be a really amazing bonus for all of you. It's really a $19.97 value, and I won't joke. I've had clients that have paid me privately up to $8,000 for the content on this, obviously with some personal support. But this is really about helping you shift your core negative beliefs at the core. Like really learn all of the tools, all of the strategies that we teach Olympians, that we teach high stakes performers and accomplished speakers. So part of me being a high performance psychologist is actually a very, very small circle. We have to have this particular training. And, you know, so I'm hanging out with all of my colleagues who are, you know, they're going to the Olympics. They're talking about all of that stuff. And in fact, I turned down a position because I decided I didn't want to be traveling in that way. But you are going to get those skills. It's really a way that you really get to unleash your inner superhero. You learn all of the powerful tools that you can come back to again and again. And this is really the core of, a lot of people ask me, like, how do you like seem to handle stuff so easily? Like, how do you? That's how, you know, and you release the imposter syndrome. And this is actually a 12-module course. So, you know, it is, there's so much there that you will be like so excited, because again, you know, if all of the inner work is what needs to happen for you to be able to tap into your intuition, then here you go. You will be able to have access to that as well. So, we wanted to talk a little bit about how this, like how tapping into your intuition actually impact time and money. Because a lot of times we think like, oh, I don't know that I have the time to do this. Oh, I don't know that I have the money. And like one of the best things really is that the more that you're connected to your intuition and sense of play, actually the more time and money you're going to save. Okay, you want to hear how?
How, Elena? How?
So I want you to really think about this for a second. Think about all the hemming and hawing that you do before you make a decision. So because every time that you say, you know, I need to think about it, right? Here's what happens, and I'm going to talk a little bit from the neuroscience part of it. Every time you say, I need to think about it, you kind of put that in the back of your head while you go do the other things that you know that you have to do at that moment. But then this thing, like this idea, this opportunity, it just kind of keeps rattling in the back of your head, like literally. It starts slowing down your brain because it's almost like running an antivirus in your computer in the background. So it takes up so much space in your, you know, in your working memory, in your memory abilities to be able to like deal with all of this stuff. And it's what I call an energetic open loop. So every time that you're asking people around for their opinions, like, what do you think? Do you think this is a good idea? Think about all the time, all the energy, even all the spit that you're wasting as you're explaining to people like, well, here's the situation and here's the opportunity. And, you know, and then you get like as many different answers from different people that you talk to. And then you're like, okay, I don't really even know what the right answer is, you know? And so it's just like, it's all this time, right? And then for me, it's like, I think about all of those times that I didn't trust, myself. And then I did like the sensible thing instead, you know, like the thing that my mind told me to do. I have wasted so much money, literally. Like I could have just taken a bunch of money and like thrown it down the toilet, doing some of the sensible things because I wasn't trusting myself, even though I knew that that was probably not the right thing I needed to do. Like I just wasn't trusting it. And so it's like you're saving money every time that you know what is the right thing, and you just feel it in your body, in your core, and you just know like this is the thing that's going to help me. And of course, when you have like intuition and a sense of adventure, curiosity, you just know, like, you know, it's like, I just know. There's a, you know, I'll tell you one of the pieces about this very recently, you know, gosh, I can't believe I'm going to share this, but I think why not? So very recently, I have, like, my intuition has been guiding me to go to Mexico and study with the shamans and go work with the dolphins. And I'm like that's just so mind blowing. Like I have all these businesses here, and we're so established here, and it's like I just know that that's what I needed to do. And so I was like, okay, so we're gonna start taking those. We're gonna start taking those steps. We're gonna start making it happen. And then all of a sudden, a friend of mine is like, so I'm doing this retreat where we're gonna work with the shamans and the dolphins. And I'm like, I just know I need to be there, you know. And there was all these things that were happening. There's all the stuff, you know, and all these. And I was like, there's no way. Like my husband's like, there's no way. And I'm like, I know, like the way that things look right now, like there's no way. But I was like, but I know we need to be there. Like we have to be there. And I told her, I said, we need to be there. I have no idea how, but we need to be there. And so she said, well, do you want to put in a little bit of money to like set the intention to say yes? And I said, okay, yeah. Knowing that I had no idea where it was coming from, no idea like how we're going to get the time, no idea, you know, and we sort of got together and we made it happen, and we're going. And I'm like thrilled. So again, I'm just saying, sometimes intuition kind of pushes you to do the things that feel the scariest. And if you know how to hear it in your body and how to trust, you will do the stuff, even though it seems weird and scary. It's magical. And of course, the best part is that you can come back to all of these time and time again. So I wanted to show you. Do you want to add something to that, Jean?
No. Go.
So I just wanted to show you a little bit about what this is going to look like when you join us. You're going to get immediate access to a membership site where, you know, you will, it's going to be like your own, where you will be able to kind of come in and look at, you know, where you're going to get all the access to all the bonuses that we haven't even told you. We forgot to tell you that, you know, we're going to give you access to the challenge videos. So some of you were like, we wish that we could redo these, and like, so we'll give you access to all the challenge videos. And then we'll add some of the additional bonuses, and then you'll get access to all of the content in there. And so we're really excited because it's beautiful. It's easy to access. You will be able to like download all of the, you know, all of the stuff that we have created for you, so you can kind of see like there. And then the cool thing is that you can mark in here when it's done and it's completed. And so we get to see like your progress and how you are doing and how you are progressing through the course, which I think is really awesome. So just a really quick recap of what all you would get.
So there's the Intuitive Advantage course with all the things that we've already talked about, the 6 training modules, the coaching calls, the private community, the meditations, activations, tapping, affirmations, handouts, worksheets, fun prompts. And that's the $9.97 value.
You're going to get the soul guidance system with all of the stuff that Jean talked about, the 6 modules and all of that kind of stuff, which is the $397 value.
And of course, Elena's Authentic Confidence course, 12-module course to really shift your being and being confident and making things happen, a $19.97 value.
And then you're going to get the Playful Profits Challenge videos, which right now we're kind of giving it a value of $397.
We are adding in one more bonus. Oh my gosh. We talked about this last night. I can't believe we decided to add this, but honestly, this is going to be so amazing. We are going to do an intention before the course starts. We're going to do an intention setting mastermind workshop, which is going to totally shift who you're being as you step into this course. And that is a $997 value as well.
So we're super excited, and that's why I'm saying that you're actually going to end up getting about 8 weeks, like 7 or 8 weeks of support because of some of these things that we're doing. Like this is going to be a really powerful experience for you. That's really going to set you up and like, you know, to really skyrocket as you go through all the stuff. And then there's a few other gifts and bonuses that are little bonuses and gifts that we're going to include that probably total about $291.
That's pretty specific, but they're pretty awesome.
They are pretty awesome.
And we like presents and surprises, so we want to give you some surprises too.
Yeah, so we're leaving it general intentionally because we want to surprise and delight you. So basically, the total value of everything that you are getting is $5,076 total. Okay, so that's like.
Of course, you know you're not paying that, right?
Of course, you know you're not going to pay that. So you're going to get all of the different pieces that we talked about and more. And you're not going to pay that. You are just going to pay today
$497.
An introductory price of $497, or you could do 3 payments of $197. So we wanted to make it as like easy and no-brainer for you because we are so excited about this. This is part of our purpose and why we're here. We really want to empower people so that they can become these transformation leaders, the beams that are like empowering other people and sharing this information with others because we need this in our world right now. And so we want to make it as enticing and as exciting for you as possible. So $497 or 3 payments of $197. Okay, is this cool or what?
Yeah, I know. I'm so excited. We just make it easy, right? Let's just make it easy.
So
and of course, no risk to you. We want to make this as easy as possible. We're doing a 30-day guarantee. Watch the trainings, participate in the calls, do the assignments, because we truly do want you to transform your life, do the practices. And if after all of that, you say, you know what, this totally just wasn't for me, email us, let us know, show us your work. We will issue a full refund for the whole thing. Because we want you, we want to work with delighted, happy, fabulous people who are excited to have been in the course. So that is why we want to offer a guarantee, to make it really simple. No risk. Let's go.
Awesome. So
we invite you to join us and become part of this awakening and connection and become your own guru. Like, you know inside of you that you have the answers. You can, I did pop the link right into the chat.
Perfect. Love it.
Just click on it right there. You can find all the information there. And of course, if you have more questions, we definitely are available to answer those.
So just go register, join us, and really, you know, ignite your life. I mean, this is really transformational, and we're super, super excited.
Now, we did actually make an offer of something to you earlier. At the beginning of this call, we said, if you stayed till the end, we have something super fabulous for you. Oh, wait, am I not there, Elena?
We're not there yet, actually, because probably some of you are going like, oh, like that sounds cool. Like there's a lot of stuff, and you're still kind of like, oh, I don't know. Like, I need to think about it. Like, I don't know. And I just sort of want to kind of have you really consider like what's costing you to not be living totally like connected to your intuition, like really deepening your intuition to the level that you're capable of, to really integrate more play into your life and really think about like what's costing you to live this way. So I'm going to ask you a couple questions, okay? Like now, if you were like totally there and ready, go register, you know, like this probably won't apply to you because you just know, and you're listening to your intuition and you're just going. And so just go and register. Now, this is for those of you that are still going like, you know, kind of in that hemming and hawing, or like, is this really the thing for me? You know, we talked about that. We know that you're out there. And so I want you to think about like, so what's your exact income goal? Like, you know, whatever that might be for you. I don't know what that is. And then think about what it is that you earned last month. And then subtract what you earned from what you really want to be making. So for instance, and I just put it all in there. If your goal is 10,000 and you made 2, then subtract the difference, it's 8. Okay. But I actually want you to think about like the real cost of being disconnected. Like what's costing your soul to be disconnected, right? So let's just say that you're like 45 years old and you've been working since you were 20, then you've spent about 25 years or about 219,000 hours of your life totally disconnected and unfulfilled. I think that that's a really, really, really high cost. And what's costing you and your family every single month, if you stay exactly where you're at, doing the things that you've always been doing, and not taking action, you're just gonna be getting the same stuff that you've been getting, right? So
yeah, and you know, can you afford to be sick, injured, or depressed? And you know what I like to look at it on this one is from the issue, because I know that some of you showed up today because you already do have some intuition. You already know how to, you know, you listen to it, it shows up, and that kind of thing. And so the people who had an intuitive yes, and they're like on it, they're like, they've already gone to register, right? Mm-hmm. They've already gone to register.
Totally.
Then there's the people who are saying, I don't know. Those are the people that we're asking these questions to, because they're not sure. Because they're somewhat disconnected, or they're ambivalent, you know. And so those are the people that, you know, maybe this isn't a perfect match. Mm-hmm. Then there's the people who are, their intuition is screaming at them, or their brain is screaming at them saying, no. Those are the people I really want to talk to, because that's the group that has this trust issue going on. And so there's the people, there's the yeses, got those. The ambivalence, okay, let's ask some deeper questions. And then there's the big scary no's. Then those are the people that truly, honestly, this is a great course for. And it's that really interesting place. The people that it's not for are the ones who already dropped off the call. They were ambivalent halfway through. They're like, I don't know. And they're already gone. Right. And so if you made it this far, I'm going to suggest you're one of the other sides of that, saying either we have some questions that need to be answered, and ask a deep question. We're a big yes, or we're a big no.
And I love this, Steve, that you share this. You said, my cost of being depressed was in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? Which was kind of the next question. What would actually happen, right? What would happen to your life or your business if you got depressed or sick or injured? You know, because we don't really think about those things a lot when we're good, you know, and like the sayings goes, it's only when we're like lost that we like be like, oh my gosh, I didn't know how good I had it, you know? And so like, what would be what would happen? I want to talk a little bit about sort of like that voice about, I call it the little issue of money. And so I want to share with you, like, sort of my perspective is that money is a green energy exchange, you know, that is just, that it's just an exchange of energy. And, but that often we use it as an excuse for inaction. It sort of becomes like the right hand for our ego. Because, you know, in some ways we get to be, very smart about creating all kinds of excuses. And then, you know, like I was saying, like the curse of the smart, where we wrap up all kinds of beliefs underneath underneath, right? About why we don't need to do this. So pinching pennies is really the kiss of death for our business. And I think that we try to do that, obviously, because of the fear. And what happens when we are basically skimping, like we're skimping on our creations, and we're skimping on what we are doing, and it only extends the misery. So it drags out our efforts, it dilutes your power, and it means that it actually ends up taking you like 10 times longer to make things happen, 10 times longer to see the results, 10 times longer to create the financial abundance and flow that you actually desire. And in the long run, it actually ends up being 10 times more expensive. I think worse off, it actually keeps you from the full expression of you being yourself. So I often think about, like, are you going to let the little issue stand in the way of expressing your soul's purpose? I was kind of going through this thing about, like, oh, do I do this? Like I shared the piece about the mastermind. That was the biggest thing. That was the biggest expense, like investment that I've ever made in personal development, besides the university, which that was a much bigger expense. But anyway, and I was kind of like doing this thing, and I thought, I know that this is the thing that's going to help me to like really rise up to do the thing that I'm here to do. And I kind of imagine myself kind of having this conversation with the creator, whatever that is for you, and having this question of, like, why didn't you do your purpose? Like, why didn't you do the thing that you were meant to do? Like, you said you were going to go do it, and I was like, no excuse that I came up with was a good excuse. Like, I could not come up with a good enough excuse to say, this is why I didn't do it. This is why I didn't. And so, I didn't want to let the little issues stand in the way. I just want you to kind of be thinking about that in the long run, when we're like doing all the skimping and penny pinching, the likelihood of success decreases, because nobody really has the stamina to go for 10 years or take 10 times longer. And a lot of times we give up. And really, really the saddest part for us is that the world doesn't get to experience your gifts, because you allow the little thing to get in the way. And so that this is really about you saying yes to you, committing to you, and then becoming resourceful in making that happen, because that's really how we get to create magic and miracles. So at the beginning of the challenge, I think that Jean and I shared a little piece about, like, my magical manifesting formula and her miracles formula, and it's part of this. And so, if this is really calling you, I think that it's calling you for a reason. Like Jean and I came together, led by intuition, to offer this, and I think that you were divinely led to us for a reason. So I'd love to sort of invoke for you to trust, like, the synchronicity of the miracles and opportunities that are presenting to you, and really change that pattern. Like, say yes to you, finally stepping into your divine purpose, connecting and trusting to your soul's guidance, and really entering the flow of magic and miracles in your life. And of course, it starts by you letting the universe know that you are committed, that you are ready, by taking action. Sadly, we have to do that. We have to take action first. It's not like the universe gives us all the answers and then we take action. We have to, like, kind of trust, and then things happen. And then things kind of start rearranging for you. So the world shifts are happening right now. Like, we are not directing those. Like, that's like, that's the world doing its thing. It's happening. The need for transformational leaders is now. Like, it's, the world is not waiting for anyone. And so this is the chance that we have all, really, to rise up, to become those transformational leaders, to really create the massive impact that we are here to make, and to support everybody else that's really struggling through these shifts. So of course, like, it's your choice, right? Like, we're not saying like you have to, but like, I really want you to really look at it from these perspectives, because this is really, you will know, and you will know in your body, you will know in your mind, that this is the right thing, and, say yes to you.
So ready? Ready to embrace ease, flow, and fun? That is the place. That's too funny. I am magnetic. Everyone say it.
Well, because it's really about easily and effortlessly attracting, like becoming attractive, right, to partners, helpers, clients that you love, and it's part of that ease and that flow. So this is it. Like, we're inviting you to join us in this like awesome, epic, journey, and go
So now is
register
where
right.
right now I get to say that we do have a fabulous gift for you.
Yes, now you get to say that.
I know that for staying all the way to the end, we do have, Elena has the coolest little gift just for you for hanging out with us live on this webinar, or masterclass rather. So what do you got, Elena?
So what it is something that I've created that's called the Multi Six Figures Revenue Roadmap. And really it's a guide that will tell you like all of the different ways in which you can create multiple six figures in your business. Now, it might sound a little guru-ish, okay, because I am a business strategist, and it's simply for you to kind of have it laid out and for you to see all of the different possibilities and opportunities, and then for you to be able to then connect to your intuition and to know like, this strategy is not for me, like this is for me, this is better, right? So that it's really about you like knowing like all of the things that are available in a pretty organized way, and kind of seeing, for those of you that are numbers people, and seeing how the numbers work, all of that will be there. So what the link is there, it's an opt-in. Those of you that are here, I'm actually in a minute here, I'm gonna end the show, and I am going to copy the direct link, and I'm going to drop that into the box. So you don't even have to opt into it. Like, you could just use, get the link that I'm going to put into the box, and then you just have it. And so I wanted to make that available for those of you that are here, that showed up and have stayed with us the entire time, so that you don't even need to opt into it. So I'm dropping that.
I put the link there. You don't have to click that, is what she's saying.
Right.
You don't have to click that one. There you go.
So now, is the ugly Dropbox link, because that's my, like, that's literally my direct link to my Dropbox, so that you can get
that's quite the link. Woohoo!
But we do, we have been trying to kind of pay attention a little bit to your comments and your questions. But if you guys have any questions about the course, about joining us, about any of that stuff, this is the time, to ask us. And I'm going to stop the share, and I'm just going to bring us into just being, so that, if you guys have any questions that you want us to answer, that we'd be happy to answer. And Jean, you've been kind of paying attention a little bit more to the chat than I have. So are there things that we need to address?
Yeah, so first of all, Steve has said he would like to have a deeper conversation. So I know we talked about that possibility, and certainly we can schedule that. And so if there's someone who really just says, you know what, I like to have conversation, and that's me. I rarely sign up for anything unless I've had a conversation with the person who runs it. I'm sorry, I know. I
love it. I think that's great.
I like to talk to people before I register. So do we have a, do we want to just make a link for that, or?
Sure. So we'll, let me see where, I can give you that for sure. So what I'm going to do, okay, I'm going to put a link directly to my scheduler. If you go immediately right now, so don't do it quite immediately, is because my schedule's kind of blocked off in some ways, but copy that link, and then if you want to go, and you can schedule something even if it's farther away, and then I'll like reach out and then like try to find something that's a little closer, where we can chat. If you have a link to your scheduler, Jean, and you want to drop it in there, feel free to do that, and we can do that as well. And because we want to obviously appeal to all of those of you. I love, Jean, that you said, well, I don't do anything unless I talk to people. I'm like, good Lord, I don't want to talk to anybody. I know when I want something, I just go and register. Like, that's the end. Like, you know, and again, here's like the peacock is like, okay, yeah, I know that. Take action, go do it. And some of us need to talk, and I think that's totally fine. You know, so I would, so we're delighted to talk to you if you want to talk, for sure.
Okay, I'm getting it. I'm getting a copy. There it is. Okay. Here it comes.
Oh, Norma, I love what you're saying about universe sending you to the class where we met, and then kind of joining the challenge and being here and getting a birthday present. Because are you a Virgo as well? Because so we found out, so I'm a Virgo, and we found out that Jean is also a Virgo. And so there was somebody else, and I think that you might be. So I think that would be like so cool. And just kind of realizing that, yes, like money is a green energy exchange, you know, and so we need to keep it flowing. And we need to keep it flowing into our development, you know, like I continue to invest, you know, like I'm going to this retreat in a couple of weeks, and I'm continuing to invest in kind of up leveling myself, because I know that every investment that I make in myself actually brings a higher level of energy, a higher quality of transformation to every person that I work with, regardless of the fact that I had 17 years in higher ed and you know, like I just don't ever feel like we're like done, you know. Yes, 6th of 10th planet in Virgo. There you go. So, you know, so trusting that, you know, trusting the synchronicities, trusting how things are showing up. It is really part of beginning that journey of saying like, okay, it might feel really scary, and I just feel it in my body. I just know that this is the avenue. You know, there's that beautiful saying that says like, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And so I think that that's part of looking at those synchronicities and seeing like, oh, wow. So I am finally ready to know and learn and deepen this thing. And wow, like this opportunity showed up. I love this. It's more scary to stay as I am, and I have been. I've done depressant 6. No more. Thank you. Oh, that's awesome. I think that that's an amazing affirmation, and we would love to have you join us and for us to support you. And you're like incredibly gifted. So, you know, I'm excited to see of all the things that would open up for you as you are, you know, connecting to your intuition and play, and like wow, I think that you would be incredibly powerful. So from what I know about you, I think that'd be amazing. And Steve, I also know a little bit about you as well, and like that'd be amazing also, because I see just so much brilliance in you, and it would be awesome. Like even just some of the stuff that you guys did through the challenge, I was just so impressed, you know, like how all the stuff was happening, all the creations that you were doing. I think that was amazing.
Yeah, and Steve saying that you'll always be exploring. That's how I feel. Like it's life's a big curious exploration, and then which things sing. You know, then it's choosing, right? There are so many choices, and what am I going to explore today? And then using that intuitive skill to just really say, this is it. This is the thing I'm picking, and let's go.
So, and this is great, this conversation about stop learning, start living, which I really love. And I think about more that there's, and you guys may have heard me talk about this, maybe other places, that information without application and integration is just clutter. And so that so much of what we are creating, and let it be known, so we're being totally transparent, we have not created a single thing. Okay, we have the blueprints. I have a bunch of stuff that I have gone through, many of my clients, and Jean does too. but we haven't created anything because we really wanted to like tap into like what is going to be the most supportive for you. And we wanted to in some ways like co-create with you and do it in a way that is going to create the greatest transformation, which I think it's even more exciting, because it's really about saying that it's really about making applicable. It's about the application. It's about the integration, you know? So I think of levels, it's like we learn with our mind first, then we start applying, then we practice and practice and practice, and then we finally integrate into who we are and our way of being and doing and creating. And so there is this process when we're learning something new. And that's why we need support as we go through that. And, you know, so that the piece about always growing, I think we're always growing. I mean, I think that for as long as we're going to be alive, we're going to be growing. You know, I sure hope so. Like, I don't ever want to, you know, when people say like, I want to get there, and I'm like, I don't know where there is. I think there is like the grave, you know? So it's like, to me, it's like, it's always the next level, and we don't ever know. Like, we just need to create it in an expansive way, because, you know, if we say this is where I'm going to go, well, that's kind of limiting, because who knows? Maybe there's so much more that we don't even know. So, so yes, so please, you know, feel free to schedule, reach out to us individually. You can PM either of us, and we can, you know, schedule those times to chat. You can, or you, if you know, like if you just know in your body and your mind, like just go register, you know, and we'll be so excited and delighted to join you, to have you join us. The moment that you register, you're going to be getting access to our membership, and so you'll immediately be able to get to see all of the challenge videos right there. Because so Norma, you know, here's your intuition actually working, and I love. So Jean and I, so this is part of we did not say this because we just don't know. Like, you know, we don't want to promise something that we just don't know, because, you know, we are in the adventure of this experiment. But when we first started talking about this, we said we want to run this introductory course, and then we want to see how it goes, and then we'd love to have a retreat. And then obviously the course is going to increase, and then we're going to add a retreat to it. So the beauty of it is that I think that if all of this, you know, as all of this goes well, and we expand this and we share this with more and more people, then, you know, we're going to be adding that retreat, so that we are then meeting in person and doing like live stuff, and really getting kind of our hands and feet and hugs and all, I don't know.
And toes in paint. And
Exactly. That's what I was thinking, paint.
Awesome. Yeah, and it's been a fabulous collaboration that just leading up into this. And so I just can't wait for what's going to happen within all the participants and the synergies and everything that happen within that. It's going to be extraordinary.
Yep. So it's just the synergies and the universe. So like, pay attention to that. You know, PM us if you would need to talk. Go ahead and register, and we just can't wait to really start working with you and then creating magic and miracles.
Beautiful.
So, yes, totally. That could totally be part of it. You know, totally, because you're gonna be kind of, in some ways, you are gonna be sharing with us, here's the stuff that we want more of, here's the stuff that we want less of, this is the part that we're struggling, and then, you know, we'll create stuff that will support you through those struggles. And so I think that this is what's amazing. I know it's something that I posted on Facebook quite a while back, you know, and I always said, you know, if you ever have a chance to register for the first time that course is offered, you ought to do that then. And so, you know, so if you have friends that you think, you know, you would want them to join you in this experience, invite them, you know, share the links, that kind of thing, because I think that whenever the first time that course is offered, is always the most magical. It's always the best, because you are sort of co-creating together. You have the highest level of support, because it's usually a way smaller group. And so I feel like it's always like way much more value, because there is this process of co-creation and this process of trust building that is really, really beautiful. So
that's absolutely true. I completely agree.
Love it. Love it. Um, totally. And let's talk. I love this, Norma. Decision made. Thank you both for the opportunity and hope of transformation. Awesome, awesome. Well, welcome. We're gonna be so excited and delighted to have you. And hey, Steve, no, don't worry about competition. Remember, we said like the major shift is from competition to collaboration, and so our goal is to be able to be lifting each other up, you know. And so you have your own way of creating and doing things, and it's going to appeal to certain people, right? And we have our own way. I mean, in some ways, when I first met Jean, I think we met a couple years ago, I was like, oh wow, she kind of does the same thing that I do. And I don't know if you had the same thought. You know, I remember like, oh, that's nice, we kind of do the same thing, you know. And it was like, all right, well, you know, you know, I don't know how it was, but in some ways it was like we kind of do the same thing, and I really felt led to like reach out to her and say like, hey, how can we collaborate? And it's been like such a magical thing, you know. And so I feel like collaboration is really the wave of the future. And so who knows, like maybe that will open up even more opportunities for us to collaborate as you actually know and learn and understand our process. So yeah, we're all about creating win-wins. And hey, this is stuff that everybody in the world needs this, you know. I mean, if we can have everybody everybody needs this information, and we're not going to be able to reach everybody. So clearly we need to empower all of you to be able to. So
I totally agree. I don't think that there's competition in anything. And if we all had the same name and offered it, you know, with the same modules, they would still all be completely different courses.
Totally. So so we can't wait to welcome you. We can't wait to work with you. And, you know, feel free to invite other people that you feel like would be fun people to join us as well. And PM us if we need to chat, and we will do that.
Beautiful. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for hanging out. And this has been really a treasured day for me. So thanks.
Totally. Likewise. It's nice to have other play intuition evangelists. I do have a different angle, and I wanted to be exponential growth for all. Exactly. You know, we totally agree. And you know, I'm excited about you. Like, I'm excited about you and your work, and just seeing more of this integration in creative, and you know, really stepping out in a big way. So yeah, you know, I don't know. My soul, my heart sings when I get to see other people shining, you know, because I feel like that's part of, I don't know, it's the mother in me, you know, like I like to see other people succeeding. I like to see other people shining, and being able to have a contribution in that. So that would be amazing. So thank you so much for being here, for hanging out with us. I know we went way long, and so appreciative for that. And
have a beautiful long weekend if you're doing something fun. And
rest, play, and please, you know, reach out, and we hope to see you on the other side and play together. Mwah. Until then.
Thanks.